She has options, and a lot of them. Men chasing her shadow, flooding her inbox, hoping to be chosen. Some have more money, some have more charm. Some seem to have it all on paper. But none of that really matters if you understand something most men never will. How to stand out in a sea of men all trying to do the same thing. Because here's the quiet truth no one talks about. The moment you start competing, you've already lost. The second you frame her as the prize and yourself as the applicant, you surrender something essential: your grounding, your power, your self-respect. She doesn't feel drawn to the man who tries the hardest. She's pulled toward the man who doesn't need to prove a thing, the one who doesn't play by the rules of approval and performance, the man who moves differently, not to be seen, but because he sees himself clearly. This isn't about tricks. It's not about being colder or distant or fake. It's about reclaiming the part of you that never needed to chase in the first place. And that journey begins with one crucial shift: learning to stop being the predictable man. If this spoke to something real in you, like the video, subscribe to Stoic Station and stay with me. We're just getting started. 1. Don't be the predictable man. Most men follow the same tired script. They lead with flattery. They rush to respond. They give too much, too soon. They nod along, avoid conflict, and say yes when they mean maybe. And while they think this shows interest or effort, all it really shows is that they're just like everyone else. Predictability isn't safe. It's invisible. You become background noise, someone easy to like but easier to forget. That's not what leaves a mark. You don't need to be the man who tries harder. You need to be the man who makes her stop in her tracks, the one who doesn't audition for her affection, the one who doesn't try to convince her of his worth, because his presence already speaks for itself. Be the mystery she can't label. Be the stillness in a room full of noise. Don't be the guy who fills the silence just to feel closer. Be the one who lets silence reveal truth. Speak less. Observe more. And when you choose to speak, say something that touches a layer no one else reaches. Not, "You're beautiful." That's what every man says. Try something that disrupts her surface. Say, "You seem like someone who's had to make peace with being misunderstood." Am I wrong? She won't know how to respond. That's the point. Because in that moment, you're no longer just another voice in her inbox. You're the one who sees past the performance. You're not playing her game. You're moving in your own rhythm, steady, self-assured, and real. She doesn't choose men who try to be liked. She remembers the one who made her feel something without even trying. That's how you stand out, by never needing to. 2. Make an emotional impact, not a surface impression. Admiration is easy to give. Most men don't even think twice before handing it out. A flood of compliments, exaggerated praise, and constant attempts to uplift her like she's some distant goddess on a pedestal. But that kind of attention, it's everywhere. And because it's everywhere, it means less. What truly stays with her isn't the man who admired her. It's the one who understood her. Most men try to elevate her ego. You're the one who chooses to reach something deeper. Most men make her feel like a goddess. You make her feel seen. And being seen for who she really is, not just how she looks or what she presents, is rare. And rare is what lingers. It's not about delivering perfect lines. It's about timing, about presence, about noticing what most overlook. Maybe she's having a rough day, hiding behind a smile. Most guys say, "Hope your day gets better." You don't. You look her in the eyes and say, "You don't have to pretend with me. If it's messy, let it be messy." Real beats perfect every time. And that moment hits her somewhere no one else has touched. Because now you're not just a man who noticed her. You're a man who gave her permission to be real. You didn't try to fix her. You didn't judge her. You simply held space. That kind of emotional safety is unforgettable. It forms a bond that's not about attention, but connection. You don't just make an impression, you create an imprint, one that stays long after you've left the room. 3. Attraction comes from not needing her. Attraction isn't about effort. It's not something you earn by proving how much you want her or how far you're willing to go. In fact, the harder you try to win her, the more she starts to feel that you're trying to fill a space in your life that you haven't filled yourself. That's not attractive. That's pressure. The truth is simple, but often overlooked. You don't win her by trying harder. You win her when your life is already full, when your time is valuable, when your peace is obvious, when your energy doesn't beg to be seen, but carries a gravity that draws her in anyway. You don't chase validation because you're already anchored in your own value. That value isn't spoken, it's felt. It's in how you carry yourself, how you make decisions, how you show up without needing applause. You win her over when you're the man who's perfectly fine without her. That's not emotional detachment, that's clarity. It's knowing that love should be something that adds to your life, not something you need to feel whole. She won't be pulled in by desperation. She's pulled in by calm confidence, by the man who's aligned, not just with his purpose, but with his peace. And here's the paradox that most men never realize. The moment you stop needing her is the moment she starts wondering how to stay in your orbit. Because you're no longer one of many chasing her attention. You've become the exception, the man who doesn't need her to feel valuable, and that makes you irresistible. 4. Show your self-control through real action. Self-control isn't something you talk about. It's something you reveal through how you move, how you respond, and what you're willing or unwilling to compromise. Being stoic doesn't mean you're cold or emotionally unavailable. It means you're rooted. You don't drift with every emotion. You don't let someone else's mood dictate your stability. That shows in the small moments. When she texts late, you don't drop everything. When she cancels plans, you don't act wounded or disappointed. You say, "All good. Another friend invited me out anyway. Let's catch up another time." You don't say that to appear strong. You say it because it's true. You have a life, and no single person, no matter how beautiful or interesting, controls the rhythm of it. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to withdraw completely. But you do need to honor your time, your energy, and your commitments to yourself first. That's what being grounded looks like in real time. That's how she feels the difference between a man who is centered and one who's simply trying not to lose her. And that difference? It's powerful. The strongest position is being completely okay if she walks away, not pretending, not bluffing, but truly being at peace with it, because your life doesn't collapse without her. That calm certainty, that emotional discipline, creates contrast in a world full of men who panic at the first sign of distance. When she sees you're not waiting to be chosen, that you're already building something with or without her, that's when she leans in. Not because you asked her to, but because deep down she knows she just encountered something rare. A man who doesn't react. A man who leads with presence, not pursuit. A man who means what he says and lives it. 5. Become the experience she can't replace. You don't need to be the man she's always imagined. You need to be the moment she never saw coming, the one that lingers in her memory long after the conversation ends, the one that replays in quiet moments when she least expects it. Anyone can plan a dinner date. Anyone can say the right thing at the right time. Compliments are cheap, and predictable routines are everywhere. What isn't everywhere is depth. What's rare is the man who makes her feel something real, something layered, something unexpected, something she didn't even know she craved. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present, fully, attentively, and without an agenda. Create an atmosphere where she can let her guard down, not by trying to entertain her or impress her, but by being grounded enough in yourself that she feels safe to just be. Let your energy say, "You don't have to perform here." Start the kind of conversation that doesn't stay on the surface. Ask what she thinks no one ever cared to ask. Say the thing that makes her pause, not because it's clever, but because it's honest. Let her feel both relaxed and a little uncertain around you, both seen and challenged. That contrast, comfort and curiosity, is what makes the moment unforgettable. Stop trying to be her ideal. Be the unforgettable experience she can't recreate, because in the end, she doesn't stay for the checklist. She stays for how you made her feel. And when she realizes no one else has ever made her feel quite like that, you stop being one of many and start becoming the one. Sixth, let her fear losing you, not the other way around. Most men move from a place of fear. Fear that she'll stop calling, fear that she'll grow distant, fear that one wrong move will make her walk away, and that fear, whether they realize it or not, shows up in how they speak, how quickly they respond, how often they check in, and how deeply they seek reassurance. But something powerful happens when that fear dissolves, because the moment you stop fearing the loss is the moment she starts sensing your presence differently. You're no longer chasing, you're no longer performing, you're just still, rooted, self-respecting, and that energy, that's what turns the dynamic upside down. Don't panic when she pulls away. Don't fill the space with apologies, explanations, or neediness. Let it breathe. Let her sit in that silence, not as punishment, but as contrast. Because when you're always available, always responding, always present, your value gets diluted. But when you create even the slightest distance with grace and calm, she starts to notice. She notices the quiet. She notices your absence. And more importantly, she notices the shift in herself, the curiosity, the tension, the sense that maybe you aren't as guaranteed as she thought. She won't choose the guy who shouts the loudest. She'll choose the man who makes her wonder why she's trying so hard to get his attention. That mystery, that unpredictability, doesn't come from playing games. It comes from real emotional balance, the kind that says, "I want you, but I don't need you to feel whole." When you stay calm in the face of her tests, you don't just keep your dignity, you deepen your value. She starts viewing you not as someone she can have whenever she wants, but as someone who chooses when and how to engage. That shift is magnetic. Let her feel the weight of your silence. Let her miss your energy. And most of all, let her realize, without a single word, that she's not the only one with the power to walk away. 7. Communicate with calm clarity and self-respect. A man doesn't rise in her eyes because he demands more. He rises because of what he refuses to tolerate. Quiet strength isn't about raising your voice, giving ultimatums, or dominating the conversation. It's about setting boundaries without ever needing to explain why they exist. And that starts with how you speak, how you carry yourself when things don't go your way, when she crosses a line, tests your patience, pulls back emotionally, or shows inconsistent effort. The average man stays silent. He shrinks. He tells himself, it's fine. He doesn't want to rock the boat, so he bends. Again. But silence without self-respect isn't grace. It's self-erasure. You don't have to yell, you don't have to punish, but you do need to stand, calmly, clearly, without flinching. You say, I enjoy what we have, but I only invest in people who invest back. If that ever changes, I'll step away with respect. That's not a threat. That's a boundary. It's not drama. It's direction. because what you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. And when you show that your peace matters more than anyone's approval, you become rare. In a world full of men willing to lose themselves for a chance at being chosen, you become the one who doesn't need to be chosen to know his value. And that changes everything. She no longer sees a man she can toy with, test, or take for granted. She sees a man who knows where he stands, what he wants, and what he won't accept. That clarity, that emotional stillness, it shakes her more than any argument ever could. The man who's ready to lose her is ironically the man she fears losing the most, because in that moment she realizes he won't beg, he won't chase, he won't compete. He will choose peace over chaos, purpose over confusion. And if she's not ready to meet him there, he's gone. Not bitter, not broken, just gone. And that absence, it leaves a mark no presence ever could. 8. You don't need to outshine other men, just be completely different. There's a reason most men feel like they're constantly in competition for her attention. They believe the louder they are, the more they give, the harder they try, the more likely she'll choose them. So they enter the arena, showing off, showing up, showing too much, hoping their effort will be enough. But real presence doesn't shout. It doesn't compete. It simply is. While most men are busy trying to win her, you're not even playing the same game. You're not trying to be louder. You're not trying to be more charming. You're not trying to be better than anyone else. Because deep down you already know this truth. The man who stands out isn't the one who outperforms others. It's the one who doesn't need to. You're not measured by effort. You're felt through energy. You're grounded, calm, composed. The kind of man who makes her slow down without saying a word. You don't rush to prove yourself. You don't chase attention. And when she looks at you, something in her pauses. Because there's no performance, no act, just presence. Be the man who doesn't try to impress because you know you're unforgettable. In a world full of men bending over backwards to be chosen, the one who chooses himself, quietly, confidently, becomes magnetic. While others are trying to be her ideal, you're becoming something she didn't even know she needed. A man who makes her question, why am I thinking about him when he's not even trying? And that's where everything changes. Because in the end, she won't choose the one who screamed the loudest for her love. She'll choose the one who made her feel something she couldn't name. The one who interrupted her patterns. The one who brought silence, depth, and a kind of mystery she didn't know how to replace. I've never met a man like him. And that is exactly the man she won't want to lose. Let me speak to you man to man, not as someone above you, but as someone who's been exactly where you are. We've been told that if we're kind enough, attentive enough, always available, always agreeable, then eventually someone will choose us. That being the good guy is enough. But what I've learned, through the hard moments, the quiet heartbreaks, the lessons written in silence, is that this version of love we've been taught to chase, it strips us of something sacred, our center. You don't earn love by abandoning yourself. You don't become unforgettable by becoming familiar. Throughout everything I've shared with you here, from not being predictable to creating emotional depth to mastering detachment without bitterness, the through line is simple. Your power lies in your presence. Not how loud it is, not how flashy it is, but how steady, how grounded, how real it feels when you walk into a room and don't need anything to prove you belong there. Women don't choose the man who bends first. They choose the man who makes them pause, the man who doesn't ask for attention, but somehow owns it. Here's the truth most men don't want to admit. She's not waiting for the one who tries the hardest. She's waiting for the one who knows who he is, who leads with calm, speaks with clarity, walks away with peace if needed. So what's the lesson? Be a man she can feel, even in your absence. Be a man she remembers, even if you never tried to be. And above all, be the kind of man you yourself would respect, especially when no one is watching. That's who she can't replace. That's who you were always meant to be. If this message stirred something real inside you, just like the video did, subscribe to Stoic Station and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next chapter whenever you're ready.